Brothers and sisters, we are kicking off this episode of the Devon and the Duke podcast with a exclusive conversation with one of the brightest stars on the indie scene today. Check out my conversation with...
Hey, this is Lady Bird, Monica Monroe, the sweetest thing from Texas. And you're listening to Duke Loves Wrestling.
You're locked in.
Look at what we have here, folks.
To the only show that matters.
The cream of the crop.
Duke Loves Wrestling.
And there is no one that does it better than
your host.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass.
The Duke.
And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Brothers and sisters, we have a very special guest here. You can hear her giggling in the background because she is full of life and positivity. But on top of that, though, she'll kick your butt if you step out of line, which, you don't go messing with a Texas girl. So without further ado, welcome to Duke Loves Wrestling, legitimately one of the shining stars, the up-and-coming stars on the independent wrestling scene today. Lady Bird, Monica Monroe, how you doing there?
Hello. Hey, Duke. Thanks for having me. I'm doing great.
It is a pleasure to have you. And listen, I'm not going to play games here, okay? Because I'm talking to one of my Texas cousins, Lady Bird, and we got to start talking some down south stuff. I want to start with barbecue because I am a huge barbecue fan. I make my own sauces and rubs. I'm all into it. So talk to me about barbecue. When it comes to Texas barbecue, why is it the best barbecue around?
Oh, my goodness. Gosh, I think there's probably a lot of heart in Texas barbecue because a lot of gatherings and family events are, surrounded around that as being the main kind of meal. It kind of brings people together. So I know, as cheesy as it sounds, I think it's a lot of love and heart and good energy around it. Of course, we have many people around Texas who, study that craft and love it for, football games and just really anything. But that's what I would say, as cheesy as it is. I mean, my favorite barbecues are ones, in my backyard. So
that's cool. Well, when it comes to the food itself, like think back to the last time you had barbecue. What did you get, and why did you get it?
Literally yesterday, I had some brisket and I had some sausage. And, brisket is just juicy and tender, and it takes a lot of time to get it that tender, And obviously the sauce, you got to slap some sauce on it, a little spicy sauce, just good. And it's protein, as being a wrestler, I love that protein, and anytime I can get it in. So yeah, it's just delicious and easy to eat.
I love that. Are you a dry rub or are you a sauce kind of person?
I'm a sauce girl. How about you, Duke?
I'm not a sauce girl, but I'm definitely a sauce guy. I love my sauce. I don't know why. Some people can eat meat and they just have seasoning on it, and that's the end of it. I don't know how they do it. I think that these folks, we should contact United States Space Force and have them picked up because they may be from another planet, and we got to deal with that. Sauce your barbecue, okay, folks? Sauce your barbecue.
Yes.
I don't know what kind of nonsense is going on here, but so you agree with me?
I agree, but I can see why people sometimes, they get offended. Why isn't their meat good enough to eat on its own, essentially? So they say the sauce is kind of overpowering the flavor. So I understand both sides, but regardless, I'm still on the sauce side for sure.
I'm going to tell everybody out there right now, the only way you are going to get muscles like Lady Bird is to eat barbecue with sauce. Okay, that's just the way it has to be. All right, I'm putting that out there right now. No confusion. That's right.
Yes, if you want a 6-pack, add the sauce.
Add the sauce. That's right. Add the sauce. So you're a very interesting person, and I've been keeping an eye on your career since the beginning, because for someone who's only been in the industry for a few years, you've managed to be in some pretty big time spots. And I commend you for that because it's not easy. I mean, your career is very unusual compared to literally 99.999% of wrestlers out there. They're never going to make it to
Oh,
TV.
interesting. Yep.
Seriously, they're never going to make it to TV. They're never going to get matches in big promotions or what have you. And you've been checking those boxes off since year one. What do you attribute
Oh,
your
wow.
early success to? Like, how did you do that?
Yeah, that's really nice to hear. Thank you, Duke. That really means a lot. To just hear you say that. What do I contribute my success to early on? Training. That's really what it comes down to, and having wanting it more than anything else. I work a 9 to 5. Outside. Well, I don't know if I really should indulge in that, but I even with my daily to-dos, I have to go and train. My whole day is accounted for most days. So I train at this little gym with no AC called America's Academy of Pro Wrestling, and the trainer over there, Papa Don, has been in this business for 20 years. And one thing I love about trainers is in wrestling, they don't make a lot of money, right? These businesses don't make lots of money when you're on the indie scene. So these trainers have to have a lot of passion, and my trainer Papa Don definitely had that. And so I was just so inspired by that love of wrestling from him and by everyone who was training there that I just showed up every day to train, and I wanted to be the best at this business. I have an athletic background. I have a cheerleading, gymnastics, soccer. I've been doing sports since I was 4 years old, right? So I think that really helped in the beginning of me wrestling and my wrestling career.
Talk to me about that viral clip that you had where you were in this battle to the bell in reality of wrestling, and you were holding a ladder. You put it down. You did some kind of like upside down handstand thing. You wrapped your legs
Oh,
around the
yes.
ladder, and then you were able to ascend the ladder because of that. Talk to me about this thing here, because this is pretty cool. You're a
Yes.
pretty agile person, right?
Yeah, I try to be. In wrestling, moments are really important. Having specific moments. What I learned from OVW with Al over there was moves don't, well, moves don't sell seats. It's characters, it's moments, and that was really kind of a character moment for me. Who Lady Bird is I'm super athletic, agile. I'll do basically anything to get the win, any kind of creative way. So that was just a really nice moment for me to have in the ring. And I actually have to give credit to the people at Row, because that was actually something that someone came to me about, and they said, "Hey, I think this would be great if you could do this. I think you have the athletic ability to do it." And so I practiced it literally probably, I don't know, 20 minutes before my match. And then, yeah, we put it in there.
Well, it definitely was a big hit, and again, I commend you for it, because that is not easy to do. In fact, one of these days, we're going to see you in the Royal Rumble, and you're going to be doing some amazing things. I'm putting that out there right now into the universe. Lady Bird, Monica Monroe, is going to
Yes.
be in the Royal Rumble. She's going to be in ladder matches. She's going to be in these matches where she's able to show off these amazing agility skills, and fans are going to go nuts for it, just like they did in reality of wrestling. I mean, really, really cool stuff there. So again, kudos to you. Now, I know that
Yes. Thank you.
you are Texas. You are Texas through and through. You and your family. So we're talking
Yep.
cowboy hats and cowboy boots and all that good stuff there. So talk to me about country music. Like who are your favorite country music artists, and really, what songs do you listen to get yourself pumped up before matches?
Ooh, that's a good question. That's a good question. Country, I normally like more sad country songs, unless it's like early 2000s country with like Keith Urban and Tim McGraw, Miranda Lambert, all those folks. But Beyonce's a country girl, and she just put out a country album. So if I really do want to get pumped up, I mean, I'm my Houston, Texas girl. That's something to get me pumped up with. Um, what's another good one that I really like? Oh, Family Traditions. That's a really good song. A little honky tonk kind of song. So stuff like that.
And I hear a little birdie told me, a little birdie told me about Lady Bird, that you are a two stepper. And in fact, you've even taken two step lessons and all that good stuff there. So let's talk about it. What is two step? And how skilled are you at that medium?
I'd say I'm pretty good. I started learning back when I was in high school. I think I was in Spanish class and we had a substitute or something, and a little country boy, because I'm from a small town. I grew up, went to school in a small town. A little country boy friend of mine just taught me how to two step. It's really you just kind of take two steps forward, one step back. But if you want to have a little more fun, we do a half step. You take a half step forward and a step back, and you just, spin around and twirl on the floor. I did that most of my, when I was in my teens. I would go to clubs and two step for, that was my favorite activity to do. I would do that every weekend. I just love being twirled around and dipped, and it's a good time. But yeah, it's awesome. Have you ever two step, Duke?
I actually have. I grew up on Boot Scoot and Boogie. Okay, so I mean, I'm a real country
Ah,
music
okay.
fan from way back. So yes, I've two stepped. I've done swing dancing, waltz, all kinds of different types.
Oh,
I've taken
fancy.
dance lessons through the years. Yeah, but I love country music, and I go back to early Garth and Travis Tritt, Randy Travis, and Reba McEntire, like that real golden
Yes.
age of country in the 80s and 90s, where the music videos were starting to influence what people actually went to the record stores and buy. So it was really
Yes.
interesting to see the mix of the two, and just how everyone has YouTube today, but back then you had to watch CMT channel, Country Music Television, which was the
Yep.
country
Uh-huh.
version of MTV, in order to figure out what the next big song was going to be, and some of those songs they would show you how to dance. You know what I mean? So those were some fun years in country music and what have you. But yes, I definitely know how to two step. I can't do it like you, but I can sure as hell try. Okay.
I'd love to see it.
Now, what about the singing? Because you do everything else. Can you sing as well?
Oh gosh, in the shower or at a concert when I'm tuned out by everyone else. No, I mean my sisters sing and they're phenomenal at it. I kind of grew up. I did choir and all that fun stuff, but it's definitely not something I'm trained in any way. But I admire the people who do. Maybe one day I can start singing again.
Folks, we're talking here to Lady Bird Monica Monroe, and I'm telling you right now, you can hear it from her. She is a person that is she's infectious. You know what I mean? Just a positive person doing some great things out there. So many wonderful experiences. She is the American dream. So when it comes to a star that's out there, a new star who's on the hunt, on the ascent, all the big companies out there are going to be making big offers to her in the not too distant future. This is somebody to get behind. You know what I mean? She can two step. She can tell you about the best barbecue, and if she has to, she'll get a ladder and she'll do a little flip something or other and get up on top of that thing, and she might actually jump off of it on you. So you got to watch yourself. But this is really a special person that we really, here at Duke Loves Wrestling, we really want to highlight and put our stamp on and say, hey, she's next. Okay. So for all of you challengers out there, if you're looking for a great opponent, go up to your promoter and let them know right now, Lady Bird Monica Monroe is open for business. So let's get it on. I'm going to tell you that right now. What do you think about that, Lady Bird? Am I saying it right?
Darn right. Yes, yes, absolutely. Thank you for that, Duke. It really means a lot.
What can folks expect when they come out and they see Lady Bird Monica Monroe wrestle? What can they expect to see from you?
Ooh, that's a great question. Well, the first thing you're going to see is I dressed well for you. I like to look good when I'm out there, so I'm a good sight for your eyes. And I don't mean to boast myself up, but we do it for the fans. We do it for you guys. And then you're going to see some fun stuff. You're going to see me doing some flips and tricks, and not only that, you're going to see me kicking ass, beating up my opponents. It's a good time. I think I'm trying to always be unique, be a little different with what I deliver in the ring. So you'll hopefully see something special and unique when I'm out there wrestling.
Talk to me about tag team wrestling, because that's also something that you've become pretty experienced at as well, right?
Yeah. I actually learned that at OVW with the Doug Basham. He was, he was in a tag team back in his WWE days, the Basham brothers. So I kind of got to learn from someone who was, signed with a major company. You know, yeah, I did that for a while at OVW for about 5 months, and then I've come back to Texas. And then started doing it at Reality of Wrestling with my main B, my girl Gigi Ray. Me and her actually met when we were both newbies in the business. We started writing together, and then we became best friends. So she's the perfect person to tag with. We have similar styles. She's just a badass. She's delivering these big moves. We're both studying, matches. So yeah, I love tag team wrestling. It's definitely it's definitely different from singles, but I really love being able to rely on a partner in a match.
Awesome stuff. So once again, folks, she is very versatile. She'll give you tag matches. She'll win gauntlet matches, everything in between. I'm telling you right now, Lady Bird, Monica Monroe, do not forget that name. You will be seeing her all over your TV screens, no question about it. In fact, Lady Bird, for anyone out there, especially promoters, if they want to reach out to you and do some business, what's the best way that they can do that?
Yeah, that'd be great. You can message me. You can email me at wrestleladybird@gmail.com or find me on X or Instagram. Send me a DM. I'd love to work all around the US. Yeah, just message me and we can start a conversation.
Awesome stuff. Awesome. Before I let you go, I got to ask this last question because it's very important. Okay. This is the biggest question that you've ever been asked in your career. So let's see where we're going to go with this here. Okay. You're Texas now. And you're talking to a Yankee here. I'm Boston. All right. So, we're cousins, but very different in a lot of ways here. Here in Boston, we call it soda. Okay. That's what we call it. It's soda, the little fizzy drink. We call it soda. We don't call it anything else. We might call it by its brand name, but it's soda. All right. And we stand hard and firm on this. This is the way we roll. So, Lady Bird, Monica Monroe, you got the entire state of Texas on your shoulders right now. All right. We need to know the answer to this. What do you call fizzy drinks down there?
Oh my goodness. I don't want to disappoint anyone from Texas, but I'm going to speak for the Texans. I'd say we call it pop. How do you feel about that? Does that enrage you?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I take back everything positive I've ever said about this lady. She has completely turned heel on me. Okay, so we're putting a bounty on the head of Lady Bird, Monica Monroe. If there is any wrestler on the planet who wants to straighten her out for having the audacity to call fizzy drinks pop, I will get the Harley Race briefcase full of money. Take the money. I want you to straighten out Lady Bird, Monica Monroe, because clearly she's gone the opposite way during this conversation. I can't believe she just turned on us, folks. Okay? I can't believe you, Lady Bird.
I had to defend a whole state.
Strictly for the culture. Brothers and sisters, you have seen the t-shirts, the hats, the hoodies, the mugs in the hands of some of your favorite pro wrestling stars, podcasters, and influencers out there. And now it's time. Visit strictlyfortheculture.ca and you too can be part of the movement. Bigger than sweatshirts and commercial success, Strictly for the Culture aims to build with like-minded people and elevate their position in the world through knowledge, self-love, and a desire to unite. So what are you waiting on? Visit strictlyfortheculture.ca. Do it for the love. Do it for the knowledge. Most importantly, folks, do it strictly for the culture. Brothers and sisters, welcome back. Welcome back to another exciting episode of the Devon and the Duke podcast. This is a limited edition series hosted by your main man, Duke Loves Wrestling, and of course, the Hall of Famer himself, the man that went viral once again, especially with his dance moves and his preaching. We're talking about the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Devon Dudley. How you doing there, Devon?
I'm doing good, man. Not bad at all. Just one day at a time, doing what I got to do.
So we got to jump right into this, man. You went viral with this music video that you had with Trick Williams and the return of Reverend Devon. Okay, what was going on up there with this video, brother?
Well, Trick asked me to come and do the video. I really don't watch the product as much as I should because I have kids and businesses outside of the business, so it's very hard for me to keep up with everything that's going on. And so I basically got a phone call from Trick asking me to be in the video and to do the Reverend Devon. And I said, yeah. I said, sure. I said, I'd love to do it. Because, Trick and I, when I was in NXT, we became friends and, we clicked on every cylinder. And, anything that he wants from me, he's got it, and vice versa. So it was one of those things where when he called me, I was very happy to be a part of it. And, just couldn't wait to sit down and collaborate with him.
How talented is this Trick Williams, man? I mean, what a special young man he is, and the fact that he's already a 2-time NXT champion is just fantastic. What are your thoughts on him as a Hall of Famer? Checking out his work, interacting with him behind the scenes. What are your thoughts on Trick?
I think Trick has come a long way. I think, when he came in and he became a part of Carmelo's stable, so to speak, he was kind of like a side piece, on the side. And basically, he was developing his own character. He was developing his own style in the process of it. So becoming second to somebody is not necessarily a bad thing. If you take advantage of it, it can work out great for you. And I think this worked out great for Trick. And this is why he's in the position that he's in. Because even though Carmelo really got a lot of the press, he basically learned and was always asking questions. And he basically, studied, and now look at him now, 2-time NXT champion, and he's on top of the world now. So very proud and happy for Trick, and now the sky's the limit.
Sky's the limit, absolutely. And folks, don't forget, we're talking November 6th, okay? They're going to be at the ECW Arena, what some folks call the 2300 Arena in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, NXT on CW. So this is going to be a big event. There's going to be a lot of familiar faces who are going to be showing up. You never know what kind of surprises to expect there. So you definitely want to tune in. If you have an opportunity to be there live, make sure you take your pictures, use the hashtag WWE NXT, the whole 9 yards. Be part of some history there for sure. So there was a little controversy that happened, Devon, and I definitely want to make sure that I talk about this on air, because I know folks are waiting to hear, the final word on this. So I'm going to take a minute here and just go over it. First and foremost, shout out to Chris Bay from TNA, and also Vikingo, the Mexican wrestler who also has been doing some shots in the United States. Both of those guys in the past few days have been injured in the ring, unfortunately. Not really sure the extent of Vikingo's injury. I know it was a leg injury, and we definitely wish him a speedy recovery. In the case of Chris Bay, there's been some information that's come out that he had to have emergency neck surgery, and the surgery was successful. So he's on the mend. And who knows the next time he's going to be back in the ring, and that's not really as important as making sure that his health and safety are okay. So definitely, shout out to Chris Bay and Vikingo, and we wish you both a speedy recovery. Now, the interesting thing happened as soon as Bay had that injury and it made its rounds online. Someone, a very close personal friend of his, set up a GoFundMe. And I believe the original goal was like $50,000. They've since changed it to $100,000 because so much money is poured in support of Chris Bay. So I had tweeted out a message Didn't he get injured in the ring? Why are we soliciting funds from fans? Shouldn't the promotion be paying for this? This is ridiculous. So I put that out there. And you folks know me. I'm not one to hold my tongue. I share my opinion just like everybody else. I don't swear. I don't cuss anybody out or anything like that. You guys know that. I don't work blue, so to speak. I'm more of a Sinbad. If you know the comedian Sinbad, I talk about life and ironic things, and I'm very specific about what I'm saying, but I make sure that I'm being professional at the same time as I say it. To my surprise, so many people jumped all over me on this. There are definitely people who agree, but so many people, oh, how dare you? And this is about supporting Chris, and you can't be so negative and all. So then I said, wait a second. It is unsustainable to treat fans as if there's some kind of unlimited ATM. And unfortunately, we've seen this happen throughout the years where folks keep hitting fans up for money. And it's not a transaction. It's not like buy my merchandise, come out to a show or whatever. No, this is literally give me money to pay my bills. And hey, this is a bad economy for everybody. The average person is working more than one job just to make ends meet. We're coming off of terrible hurricanes that just happened. We're in the midst of a possible World War III happening out there. We got the holiday season coming up. Financially, most people are pretty strapped. And as a fan, I'm not a wrestler. I'm not in the wrestling industry. I do this show to highlight all the legends and the folks breaking into the business, everybody in between. That's what I do. But I'm not a wrestler, and I never pretend to be. But as a fan, I'm pointing out a reality here. Hey, it's time to stop hitting us up for these funds. We're all human beings here. And if I fall on hard times, I can't go to you and ask you for money. So stop asking me. Just a general point. Whether you agree or disagree, just a general point. But on top of that, I said, hey, this is why wrestlers need to unionize so they can have these protections in place. If I get injured at work, there's workman's comp, right? If I have lost wages, that gets covered. I got medical bills, that gets covered. Independent contractors in the pro wrestling industry don't have those protections. And I think there's something wrong with that. I think you deserve it. All of you wrestlers out there. So that was the point I was making. Unfortunately, a lot of people took issue with that, including former WWE referee Jimmy Corderas, which, Jimmy, you said a lot of disparaging things about me. And I'm just going to tell you right now, you don't know me. I don't know you. If you disagree with me, that's okay. But there was no reason for you to call me a douche nozzle and an idiot and cuss me and all this other stuff. Jimmy Corderas, you jellyback humanoid bastard. There was no reason for you to speak to me like that, because if you're benefiting from the fact that the wrestling industry is not unionized, then good for you. That's not going to stop me from saying that the wrestlers deserve it, Jimmy. And the last time I checked, referees were employees in the WWE. So you had benefits that the people who are out there risking their lives every day in that ring didn't have. I'm advocating for them. Mr. Slap the Mat, you were completely covered. So you take that song and dance somewhere else, sir. That's all I'll say to that. Listen, folks, you know me. I'm not here to be liked about what I said. I'm not here to be disagreed with. I just point out the fact, and I push conversation, and I'm pretty effective at it. For some reason, people can't stop responding when I do these things because they know what I'm saying is true. And if that forces the conversation to come back into the forefront, then so be it. There was a point where a wrestling union almost happened a few years ago. But unfortunately, the guy who was leading it, David Starr, he got caught up in the Me Too stuff. And if any of that stuff was true, what was said about him, that's unfortunate, because the whole wrestling union thing died with that moment. And that sucks because, again, the wrestlers do deserve it. There are parts of this industry that are making money hand over fist right now, and it is wonderful. The spoils are happening. But for the most part, people are struggling. And if Chris Bay needs a GoFundMe to pay his bills after getting hurt in a wrestling ring when he is literally on TV, not only in the United States, but also in Japan, he got that New Japan deal as well, something is wrong with that, in my opinion. Have the conversation. Figure it out. But the fans can't keep supporting that. That's just my opinion. That's what fans that I talk to all the time, they say the same thing. Kind of hard up here. They're the ones asking for money too because they're in financial turmoil. So come on, guys. I think the faucet is being shut off a little bit here. But again, I wish a speedy recovery to everybody, and I don't wish bad on anyone. Don't want to see anyone get injured out there. But there's a right way to do this long term, and I think the industry needs to take a look at it. Devon, any thoughts on that?
The GoFundMe, does help a lot of wrestlers because, we don't have a union. I know Jesse Ventura talked about it in the documentary and so many other documentaries that they did on pro wrestling where he tried to form a union and all of a sudden, I think it was Hogan, I believe, that blew the whistle on him and went to Vince and told him what they were trying to do. It's very hard for a lot of these guys to really make. People look at us as making millions and millions of dollars, and some of us are, but then you have some guys in certain promotions that aren't making that. It's almost like it's like the rap world in a sense, and what I mean by that is some of these guys are portraying that they're got more money than God and this and that, but then you come to find out that they're not. They don't have that money because the music industry, robs them blind. I think that has to do with the case with some promotions. Some promotions do not pay the talent what they're really entitled to pay, but that's been for years, across the board. For what we do in that ring, we should be getting paid a lot more than what we get paid. And, that's a fight that's always been with wrestlers for decades, well, long before I came in this business. And it seems like the promoters are the ones that are getting rich off of our blood, sweat, and tears. So it's one of those things where, I kind of understand where it's coming from because, again, the company should be paying for it, but they don't. And a lot of the organizations, top organizations, feel like you need to have your own insurance just in case something like that happens. So I'm not sure what that young man's deal is in terms of what he's making in TNA or things like that. I do know that when I was in TNA during the Dixie regime, a guy named Jesse Swanson, I think it was his name. He was a student of ours who basically made it to TNA at the time, broke his neck in the ring. And, Dixie swore that she was going to take care of it and not to worry, told his mom, that, you have nothing to worry because the mother was sitting ringside when the accident happened. Told him that they were going to take care of it. You don't have to worry about a thing. We got this. And come to find out that the mother wound up had to sell her restaurant, I believe, or something like that to pay for the medical bills because apparently the promise that was given to Jesse wasn't done. The bills were not paid, and he needed to pay the money, that they did for all the surgeries. And if you know anything about broken necks and the stuff that you have to go through, it's a lot of money. It really, you could lose everything just to pay for those bills. And then not to mention the countless rehab that you have to go through just to get back to even half of where you once was. So, and that hurt me when I heard that because, excuse me, you got to look at it as this man went in that ring and put his life on the line to entertain. Yes, this is a love that he had for the business and he knew the consequences. I get that and understand that. But at the same token, when you have top promoters telling you that they're going to take care of you if something goes wrong, they're betting 9 out of 10 times it's not going to happen. But it's always that one time that it does happen. Then what? Then you're ass out if they don't keep their promise and take care of you during that time. So it's really hard in a sense to not understand where they're coming from because, again, the bill for something like that can be crazy. And I get it, the fans, are tapped out too. We're all living in an economy that it's rough right now. and that we all need that handout as well. But my thing is, if the fans are willing to do it to help them out, then, so be it. Because again, we are putting our lives out there, and we are putting our bodies and things like that, taking time away from our families and everything, to do this. Luckily, when I had my stroke and I had my back surgery, I was an employee of the company, and I had the benefits and all of that to take care of that. Getting health insurance on your own is very, very rough. I think I was paying almost something like almost $1,800 a month for health insurance for me and my family. At one point, and then all of a sudden I became an employee of the company, and didn't have to worry about that anymore. I think I was paying like $100 for my family at that point because it was an employee. But it's rough, man. And again, I wish that brother a very fast and speedy recovery. May God with you. May God be with you. But again, hopefully he gets back on his feet and he's able to do what he truly loves. And, again, my heart and prayers go out to him and his family.
I believe the guy's name is Jesse Sorensen. And I remember that injury. Oof, that was a tough one. He was out for a few years because of that. He did eventually make his return to pro wrestling, but obviously you have a major neck injury. That takes a lot out of you, and you're never quite the same after that. So definitely shout out to Jesse. And shame on Dixie Carter for not following through. Leading this young person believe that the company would support them, and ultimately they did not. That's just piss poor management, in my opinion. There's no two ways about it. I wonder, Devon, when it comes to management, when it comes to the professionalism and the support that you've received throughout your career, if you could pick one promotion that you felt, compared to everybody else, they got it done right, especially a particular time period in your career, when would that be, and what promotion would you give the nod to, saying that, yeah, out of all the ones I dealt with, they were the best?
Well, no doubt WWE. Under the Vince regime, because I don't know the Hunter regime, Vince always took care of you. He was never one of those guys that made promises that he would do something when you got hurt and didn't follow through with it. If you got hurt, I would say 9 out of 10 or 10 out of 10 times, you were taken care of. So I never really had a problem with that. The organization, in terms of how an office should be run, was top of the line. So when you went to these other organizations that were under WWE, meaning not on the same level, you kind of saw the writing on the wall with that. And there was a couple of times where me and Bubba was like, man, if this was WWE, it wouldn't be run like this. Because that's just the way it was. We basically realized very early when we left in 2005 and went to other organizations how businesses should not be run, especially from an office standpoint. I think the only thing that was close to being top notch when it came to business in an office was the Japan organizations. They were on top of their stuff. They had everything running like a well-oiled machine. They were very, very good when it came to stuff like that. I don't think Hunter's, in terms of taking care of business, is that much different than the way Vince did it. You got to understand, he was under Vince for many, many years. And, you can't deny the stuff that Vince did in terms of how he ran the company. You might not have liked him outside of the company, but when it came to how he did business, he was a genius. And I will always stand by that and say that, because look at where he brought the WWE. From his father's company to this $1 billion, not million, but $1 billion entity.
We always hear about Pat Patterson and his contributions, especially to match finishes and things like that. Other than the obvious with Vince and Pat, who else? Who else would be next who you would say had the most influence, and their influence had the most positive impact on things, especially when you were in the WWE? Who was the other brain behind the scenes that helped make things go around?
Other than Patterson, I really don't know. I mean, you had Bruce Pritchard, you had JR. Bruce had his hand and stuff, but I never saw Bruce at work. I just knew that he was under Vince, and Vince liked him very much. How much did Pritchard have in terms of having his input on things? I don't know. As well as JR, because again, I wasn't in the meetings to see that, nor was it talked about. So I really don't know. I just know that those two had their hands in a lot, but I didn't know how much. But you always knew about Pat Patterson. How much of a genius he was. Oh, and Michael Hayes. Michael Hayes came in as a producer, not even supposed to be permanent from my understanding, and his ideas was just so good that Vince said, nope, you're in. And brought him in. Michael is very, very good in terms of putting storylines together. His knowledge for the business is incredible. I think next to Pat Patterson had to have been Michael Hayes. His ideas were just superb. A little crazy sometimes, but again, he knew his stuff.
It's interesting that you bring up Michael Hayes. Here's a guy who was with the WWE in the late 70s, early 80s for a drink of water, basically. And, he went on with the Freebirds. They set the whole Texas territory on fire. They were working for Watts and working for the NWA and, working for the Von Erichs all over the place and making a name for themselves. And then it's not until the early 90s that Hayes comes back as this Doc Hendricks character, and then eventually just settles in as a creative guy. What a career this man has had in pro wrestling, and so many different hats he's worn at such a high level. But the fact that his time in WWE is where he spent the most time in his career is really, really interesting. I think it says a lot about who Michael Hayes is and his ability to continue to remain relevant enough to maintain a job on the highest level.
Yeah, I started in 1999, and he was there working. So, and we're now in 2015. I'm so good, Jesus. We're in 2024, and he's still there. So he was there during the beginning of the Attitude Era. So let's go back even more. Say 1996, maybe 95, he was there. Maybe even longer than that, and he's been there ever since.
Yeah, again, shout out to Michael Hayes. Staying relevant, innovating, making yourself necessary as time goes by. It's really smart. It's a skill. Most people don't have that skill, unfortunately, so that just shows his value. Speaking of value, you had your cigar unveiling event last week, and I know fans were very excited about that. You had a great turnout from what I understand, but most importantly, for everybody who was not able to make it, tell us about it there, Devon. How was the cigar event?
Phenomenal. Great turnout. Really had a great time. Been here for 33 years in this area, and the turnout was great. And I say that because I've been here for so long. I've seen people left and right. So I didn't think, I was like, people know me, so I don't know how the turnout's going to be. And it blew me away, when I saw it. So I was very happy about that. I'm very excited about the cigars. They taste great. And, I'm just enjoying every bit of it. Thanks to, Dave over there at Nashor. So thank you very much. And Dave Ortiz, Big Poppy from the Boston Red Sox. Thank you so much for bringing me along, and I can't wait for the ride, man. I'm enjoying this. Also, I got to add in also as well as Fairway Cigars with Big Trey. Thank you very much for introducing me to these guys, and them eager to do business with me and wanting these cigars to really go out there. I'm excited about it. So I'm not going to say that I'm going to step away from the wrestling business. Not saying that at all, but I am going to do a lot of main focus on the cigars now, and try to really branch out with that, and and then come back to wrestling when I can. Wrestling will always be my first love. I'm not leaving the business. It's just that I am just trying to venture off into other things. There'll be another unveiling of the cigars and things like that, and where you can get it. I will have that information for you very soon. I'm just excited and pretty much overwhelmed over everything that's been going on, because it all came at me at once. Never saw this coming at all. So, it's a great feeling to know that. And, it's something to secure my family, money-wise and all of that. So I'm really excited about that. So hopefully this turns into something where I can have my own yacht and, a big ass mansion on top of the hill. We'll see what happens, man.
Yeah, you go get your yacht, big man. You've earned it for sure. Shout out to Notorious Cigars. Definitely, this is a great partnership, and I can't wait to see and to sample the new Devon Dudley cigars in partnership with Natura Cigar Company there. Big man, I know you got to run to the Rhode Island Comic Con Day 2, so you'll be hanging out with all the wonderful fans out there, and I know Bubba's also there, DDP, a whole bunch of great people, Francine, ECW Original. So you go right ahead, man. I'll finish up for us here. Folks, if you want to keep up with Devon and find out where he's going to be next, definitely check out Instagram, Testify Devon, D-V-O-N, Testify Devon. You can follow him, see his latest bookings coming up and what have you. Some great stuff. He's also on X, but Instagram is really your best hookup, so to speak, there. Also, don't forget, if you are somebody who is serious about becoming a pro wrestler and you want to learn from one of the absolute greatest of all time, the Hall of Famer himself, Mr. Devon Dudley, then you definitely want to check out the Devon Dudley Academy, okay? It's a pro wrestling academy that's out there in Winter Park, Florida. And, of course, you can either go to DevonDudleyAcademy.com for more information. You can find them on Instagram as well. But seriously, with the holidays coming up, that'd be a great gift to give someone, training from one of the greatest of all time. Why not? Chase your dreams, achieve your dreams. Do it with Devon Academy. That's right. Of course, with me, Duke Loves Wrestling on Facebook, on Twitter, DukeLovesWrestling@gmail.com. Let me know what you think. It doesn't matter to me if you agree or if you want to call me names like, the former referee Jimmy Corderas, former WWE referee. That's okay. Just know that I'm going to give it right back to you. You got that right, for sure. Thank you once again to Lady Bird Monica Monroe for joining us to kick off this episode. That was really nice, and she's a fantastic indie wrestler that you folks got to keep an eye on. We just got to get her to stop saying pop because we know it's soda. It's soda. That's right. Anyway, I am going to leave you with the word of the week. Okay, since Devon's running to go meet all the wonderful fans at the Rhode Island Comic Con, here is the word of the week. Be the change that you want to see in others. It's as simple as that, folks. Don't just expect everybody else to be one way if you're not going to practice what you preach. Got that right. Anyway, as always, be kind to yourselves, be kind to others. Take it away, Tony Schiavone.
This is Tony Schiavone, and we're desperately out of time on Duke Loves Wrestling.